Inspired talks of Swami Vivekananda, Pranam Mantra. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. We will be discussing what Swamiji had discussed on August 1, 1895. We had been delivering this talk. Unfortunately, there was some disruption. So I'll just narrate what exactly we had discussed in brief. Now, according to Vedanta, we are Atman. And this statement that we are Atman is narrated differently through different Mahavakyas like Am Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, etc. What Vedanta says is that you don't have to believe in words, you don't have to believe anyone. You practice meditation like a scientist goes to a laboratory or an astrophysicist goes to an observatory and sees things for himself. You can see for yourself that as your mind becomes focused, as you become more and more concentrated, you start realizing that the world is not what it used to be. You start seeing things which were otherwise impossible to experience through our five senses. And you also realize that your mind is more and more focused. As the focus increases, power of your mind increases. And as your power of mind increases, you start seeing subtler things. And a time comes when your mind ceases to act. There's no activity in the mind. And then you don't know, you experience something unique. And that is that you are pure consciousness, that you are always pure consciousness. There is no ignorance left. There never was any ignorance. You don't have any birth to take, and that you never had any birth. There is no virtue and vice. There never was any virtue and vice. It's an amazing thing. The best example that can be given here is that when you dream of thousand things. And once your dream breaks, you suddenly realize that none of the things that you were dreaming of is true. There are huge implications of this statement that Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. When Vedanta says that you are that, you are pure consciousness, it implies that all knowledge, all strength, and all joy is within you. And the fact is that when we are trying to seek knowledge from outside, when we are trying to seek joy from outside, when we are trying to seek strength from outside, actually nothing comes from outside. All those things come from within. Just that the right knock has to be given, and the knock has to be given in the right way. It's not only the right knock, in the right way, and you have to know where to give. There's a very interesting joke. Actually, it's a real incident that once a technician was asked to come and repair some pipe which was not working. And the gentleman came, looked at the whole thing, and just gave one tap at one particular spot, and the system started working. When asked for the bill, he demanded $100. Now, that was too much for one tap. So the company owner said that, could you please itemize it? And the technician beautifully wrote, one hammer stroke, $5. To know where to give this stroke, $95. I love this incident. Where to strike? How to strike? How much force is to be applied? This is a knowledge. Apparently, we see that just small stroke was made. No, a huge amount of knowledge. A good teacher, an excellent teacher, does exactly that. He knows how to strike. He knows how to give those strokes. Where, in what way, so that the knowledge that is already within you, because information comes from outside. And every information acts like knocks. And the knowledge that is within spurts out. When it comes to spiritual knowledge, when it comes to knowing that I am Brahman, when it comes to knowing that, well, I am pure consciousness, it requires taking certain basic steps. And in those basic steps lie the secret of everything, of spiritual practices, spiritual growth, etc. This, we call it inner awakening. The inner awakening takes place through three major strokes, or you can say stroke giver. First of this is Guru, spiritual teacher. Spiritual teacher knows where you are stuck, and he will give such a blow, at times hard, at times soft, at times some kind of twist and turn, like Sri Ramakrishna used to say beautifully. There is an old garden house. In earlier times in India, we used to have those garden houses, and there's a fountain about which people have already forgotten. No water is flowing outside, and there comes an expert technician. He looks at it and just gives one stroke here, one stroke there, and the water flows out. Exactly, this is what happens in spiritual life. We need teachers, we need guru. Swamiji will discuss that. Second one is scriptures. Scriptures are those words that give the knocks through which our knowledge awakens. And third is Ishta, our chosen deity, God whom we worship. These three things, Guru, scriptures, and God, these are the physical manifestation of Atman in this universe. If you can think of consciousness as bright light and this world as a reflector, when you want to see pure consciousness, it gets reflected in three forms: Guru, scriptures, God. Technically speaking, Guru is one with Atman. Scriptures are one with Atman. God is one with Atman or Brahman. And yet they are not. Because they are not pure consciousness. It's like holding on to an image of Atman in this physical world, and holding on to that image, slowly moving towards the source, and that is Atman. This is very, very, very important thing. Those of you who really want to be spiritual, you have to know that you have to catch hold of someone whom you will believe to be your guru. Now, guru, see, normally what happens, the system that we have, the process we have, our guru gives us the mantra and says that this mantra is one with your chosen deity, Ishta. And guru, mantra and Ishta, they are one. Perfectly all right. This is what is to be done. However, one can always choose someone someone from daily life to be that person's guru, acharya, or someone who will be seen as the divine manifestation of the Supreme. Because the purpose is not to see your guru as God. The purpose is to reach Atman. The purpose is to give up this world. How do you give up? The easiest thing is the best manifestation that is there in this world of Atman, catch hold of it and move towards the real. The important things to keep in mind is that when you accept someone as guru, a real teacher, and when you accept some book as scripture, it doesn't matter what book that is. Now, for me, Gita is a sacred book. Upanishads are the sacred book. The Vedas are the sacred book. Kathamrita is a sacred book. For me, there are many sacred books. I treat them as sacred. And I treat my acharyas, my guru, as divine. Scriptures are to be treated as divine. And God is to be treated as divine. For you, for me, for anyone who wants to be spiritual, these three have to be divine: Guru, Scriptures, and God. It's through these three that you finally realize your nature, that you are pure consciousness. And that's why these three are extremely important. These three are to be treated as divine. And you should not expect anything worldly, anything worldly from these three. Nowadays, it has become extremely fashionable to find management teachings in Gita. Well, the great sage Narada once, by the permission of Lord Vishnu, caught hold of an insect that used to live in cow dung and said, "Come, I'll take you to Vaikuntha." And that beetle asks, "Will I get plenty of cow dung there?" A beetle will always look for cow dung. A person whose mind is immersed only in kamini and kanchan, lust and gold, will try to find out teachings, etc., that will take that person more and more through these sacred books, through God, and through Guru. That. For example, here I am at Belur Math, which is the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Mission. People come, take initiation Diksha, and they expect that once they take Diksha, all their problems will be sorted out. We had one very famous vice president, was very famous guru, and whenever he gave Diksha, first thing he would say, "Now look, you have taken initiation from here. Now do not come here seeking favors from me to go to some center in the and get a guest house there, or get your ward's admission in some Ramakrishna Mission school, or a bed in some hospital." Rarely you will find some devotee who does not expect anything from the Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Mission is into social activities. And naturally, they want this favor and that favor. And that exactly is our problem when we are studying Gita and we are studying Upanishads. Once, there was a time when I used to go to Indian Institute of Management in Indore a lot. And there was a professor. He was working on management skills in the Upanishads. I laughed at him and said, "Can't you leave anything for spirituality?" These are those beetles who will search for cow dung even in the heaven. And when you go before God, when you stand before God, Then when you come to Belur Math, you start praying only for the worldly things. I want this, I want that, I want that. So you are not sparing your guru, you are not sparing your God, and you are not sparing your scriptures from being worldly. Don't do it. If you want to be spiritual, don't have anything to do with worldliness from these three. Because these three are mere reflections of pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is all power, no doubt. But if you want power, you can have other means in this world. Why bother? If goal is mukti, and mukti, freedom means giving up all the worldliness. Then why are you dragging your ideals into worldliness? The way a mom does not expect anything from its baby, just like that, you should not expect anything from these three other than spirituality. The way you love your kid, baby, just like that, you have to have a spiritual bonding with your guru, scriptures, and God. You have handed yourself over to God. If He is beating you thoroughly, it only means that you require this beating. You have gone to a surgeon. Surgeon will decide whether or not to operate, and if to operate, which part to remove. Why bother? Problem with us is that we don't have faith in God. Problem is that we don't have faith in Guru. The problem is we don't have faith in sacred books. Believe me, dear listeners, rarely have I come across any devotee who is genuinely interested in spirituality. If there are 5 statements from a devotee conversation, 4 of them will be worldly. Generally, all 5. Rarest of rare, sometimes something spiritual, and there also the discussion will be extremely ordinary. So it's very difficult, very difficult. This is what Swamiji is saying, that from these three you should not expect anything. But no, see, I'm a very ordinary person, a very ordinary monk. And somehow people have this idea that since I'm a monk, I can perform miracles, which I cannot. People will come, oh Swamiji, oh bless me with this, bless me with that. We had Swami Vivekananda ji. He was a spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna disciple. And somebody would come and say that, bless me, Swamiji. He said, if I had the blessings, I would put all blessings on my head. So imagine the amount of worldliness that we have, that when we are standing in front of Sri Ramakrishna at Belur Math, we have a list of demands. And when we go to some senior monks, we have a list of demands. And when we have scriptures, like there's a belief that if you do the recitation of Chandi, Durga Sapshati, you will acquire power. So people do for that. They think that if they're doing this part and that part, like there's a popular belief in India that if there are problems in your home, you should have the recital of Sundarkand from Valmiki Ramayana, and it removes all the problems. Just imagine how much worldly we are. And these are the people who say that I am not religious, I am spiritual. Imagine the hypocrisy that we have. Swamiji used to say that an atheist has more strength, because he says at least he doesn't believe in God and he stands on his own feet. But those who profess to have faith in religion, the amount of hypocrisy that is there is unbelievable. They won't spare their God, they won't spare their sacred books, they won't spare Guru, they won't spare monks. Why monks have all these faults? Every now and then you read in newspapers and here and there that this monk is involved in this kind of. Who involved him? his disciples, his devotees. Where does a monk have the wherewithal to involve himself in this and that problem? And then you start blaming that monks are frauds, monks are this, monks are that. Who brought them down? You brought them down. Because no, there is a huge network of religious mafia in India who are always on lookout of such monks. And these monks are not treated as gurus. These monks are not treated as acharyas. They are like the milch cow whom you feed a bit and you go on milking them. It's pathetic, just pathetic. Well, Swamiji says, the real Guru is the one through whom we have our spiritual descent. Swamiji uses the Christian analogy, descent, going within. Guru is that like that rope. Imagine a well. You need water, spiritual water. What do? You take a bucket, tie it to a rope, and let the bucket go down, and then you can pull water out. Even if a person has to go down, he has to catch hold of the rope and go down. Guru is the one through whom we have our spiritual upliftment. Descent here means upliftment. He is the channel through which the spiritual current flows to us. When you choose a person to be your guru, your acharya, treat him specifically to make spiritual current flow through him to you. He's the wire. He's the wire that makes electricity flow from the powerhouse to your home. The link which joins us to the whole spiritual world. Spiritual world is a huge world. When we say inside, it's inside. But it also envelops us. Inside the body, it has a minimal presence. Outside of us, is a maximum presence. However, there is a problem. There is a very serious problem that in Vaishnava tradition also we see that when you start putting too much of emphasis on the personality, you tend to become fanatics. We find that in some religions. Too much faith in personality has a tendency to produce weakness and idolatry. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable amount of idolatry. Idolatry, I mean, there are people who say that Hindus are idolaters. But people who speak against idolaters, they are the worst idolaters. And we cannot even mention those things. When you say that your religious teacher is untouchable, when you say that your religious book is untouchable, you are actually becoming idolaters. You don't even realize that. And Christians who have been preaching against idolatry. Some time back, I read in newspaper that Hindus were not allowed to perform Durga Puja in some country, telling that this is idolatry. Just imagine how idolaters these Christians are. And then they will start distinguishing between, no, we don't worship this, we don't worship that. What do you mean? If you go to visit a place as a pilgrimage, which is a dictate of your religion, you are being idolater. You don't even realize that. Of course, you don't have that subtle brain to understand. You don't have that brain to understand. Spirituality cannot be understood by the dull. Spirituality is meant for the razor sharp brains. These people are so dull, they can't even understand that. And try talking to them, and they'll say, off with his head. So, oh God, I tell you, the world that we live in. But intense love for the Guru makes rapid growth possible. Don't talk about Guru. Why talk about Guru? In the Ramakrishna mission, we had Srimad Swami Vireshwaranji Maharaj was the 10th president of the Ramakrishna Mission. And I believe, this is my firm belief that he was one person who had really understood Swami Vivekananda. So much so that he didn't let anyone know what was his birth date. Otherwise, his devotees would have celebrated. And one person who knew, he made him swear that he will never let anybody know what was his date of birth. And some years ago, I heard that his centenary celebrations were being conducted. And I said, well, this is what devotees do. Srimad Swami Vireshwaranji Maharaj was dead against all this. His centenary was being celebrated. And now it has become fashionable. Centenary of this person, centenary of that, centenary of this centers. Why? Don't you realize that you are worshipping personalities? You have forgotten principles. And it will not be a long time when the whole thing will tumble down to becoming extremely ordinary. But who are we to say that? When people are not able to follow what Swamiji has said, what value we will get? You have to have intense love for your guru. But it should not slowly get converted into personality cult. No, it will ruin you. It will ruin you. About your guru, if there be real truth in him, that guru bhakti will quickly lead you to the highest. Guru bhakti leads you to the highest, but guru is not to be seen as a person. He's the ideal. If he is the ideal, where comes this issue of worship? In the sense that we understand. Actually, when Islam and Christianity criticize Hindus for idolatry, exactly this is what they attack us at. But anyway, we need not discuss the kind of idolatry that they practice. Do you realize that when you say that moon is beautiful, you are being an idol worshipper? When you look at your beloved and say how beautiful this person is, do you realize that you are an idol worshipper? Idolatrous at least? When you say this thing is so good, you are being idolatrous. Because goodness, beauty, these are ideas. You are moving away from that idea and you are focusing on an idol, on a representation. We are idolatrous. All of us are idolatrous. And this is what Swami is saying. Don't be idolatrous. You use it. You use it to take the great jump towards the impersonal. Now, those who criticize, they are actually far worse, and we shouldn't even discuss them. But the fact remains. Here it is. Our growth. What concerns us is our growth. Swamiji very clearly says that Guru being the physical representation, physical manifestation of that Atman before you, whether you take it Atman or God, doesn't matter. His is the physical manifestation of that. It's easy for you to hold on to him because our mind is so gross, our mind is so physical. And it's easy for a physical object to catch hold of, a physical instrument to catch hold of some physical object. So, keep your guru in front, keep your acharya in front. Catch hold of him. Take the great flight. Sri Ramakrishna's, and then Swami is talking about Sri Ramakrishna. And in Ramakrishna mission, we treat Sri Ramakrishna as the Guru. We say Guru Maharaj. He is the ultimate Guru. And fortunately for us, Sri Ramakrishna is Guru. And Sri Ramakrishna is also the Ishta. Sri Ramakrishna's purity was that of a baby. Purity of a baby. Purity of a baby. A baby who cannot see anything wrong, who doesn't see anybody as being wrong. He's pure, he's just pure. He never touched money in his life. Now, Swamiji is talking about Sri Ramakrishna's specialty. And lust was absolutely annihilated in him. Now, lust is something that's inbuilt in us, and it's very difficult to get rid of it. Now, that not being our subject here, we are not going to discuss how to get rid of lust because it's not possible. However, controlling lust, subduing it to some extent, is extremely necessary. And to show that, Sri Ramakrishna had to be established in 100% purity, no lust for him. And then when you have his example, then you try to practice a bit of self-control. And then Swami says, do not go to great religious teachers to learn physical science. Their whole energy has gone to the spiritual. So sometimes people come and ask us, oh Swamiji, will I have this? Will I have that? I don't even trust astrology. Forget about anything else. Not fully, only a bit. Anything that comes favorably towards me through astrology, I believe that. Otherwise, I don't. People often go to the monks only for the worldly things. Now, Swamiji says that do not expect your teacher to talk about sciences. What he means to say is that, or what Swamiji means to say is that their entire energy is gone only into spirituality. They know only that. They don't know anything else. So tomorrow, if you say that the statements of the Ved do not align with science, how does it matter? They are not supposed to align. Now, when I come across some silly comments, is religion scientific? Now, how if I say, is science religious? They won't even understand the question. It's absolutely stupid to think of religion being scientific. Religion has its own logic. Religion has its own way of thinking. Being scientific, to say that there is cause and effect relation in religion, is plain stupid. Absolute stupid. In Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, the man was all dead and only God remained. This is one statement I love. Dear listeners, dear listeners, we are all mixtures of matter and consciousness. There's a divine within us. There's also the human within us. Our struggle at every step has to be to make the man dead and the divine remain. Sri Ramakrishna succeeded in that. Jesus succeeded in that. The man element, the human element, was all burned down. Everything that comes from the world was burned down completely, and what remained was the divine. Because there cannot be a vacuum. There cannot be emptiness. No, there cannot be. Even the most blackguard, persons who are real bad, even in such persons, there's a spark of divinity. In certain Christian traditions, sometimes they think of certain people as being absolutely diabolical, demonic. No, it's not possible. Human beings mean there will be human element and there will be God element. Our goal is to burn down the human element and let only the God element remain. Sri Ramakrishna did that. The man was halted and only God remained. He actually could not see sin. He was literally of purer eyes than to behold iniquity. He was so pure, he could not see sin. No saint can see sin. If you still see sin in this world, there is something seriously wrong with your saintliness. If you see wickedness in this world, there is something seriously wrong with your spiritual understanding. If you still see vice, you still see negativity, there's something seriously wrong, or something seriously wrong with your understanding of this world. Because once you are divine, you have gone beyond mind. Once you have become divine, once your struggle has become for the divine, everything belonging to your mind drops away. How can there be any sin? They are only acts. The idea of sin is from your perspective, is from the perspective of mind. But being divine means to go beyond mind. No question of any sin. That's what Sri Ramakrishna was. We have some problem with our internet. Could you please, someone confirm that you are able to listen? Because everything I find is static. And then Swami says, the purity of these few Paramhansas are these monks. Okay. Is all that holds the world together. Is these Paramhansa, persons like Sri Ramakrishna, who hold this world, persons like Jesus, who hold this world. If they should all die out and leave it, the world would go to pieces. Just imagine the pieces. There will be killing in the name of wealth, there will be killing in the name of politics, there will be killing in the name of border, and there will be killing in the name of religion, as we see all around. There are countries that are afire in the name of religion. It's these Paramhansas who see no sin, who do not see any kind of shortcoming as such. But what they say that, burn down your human element. Think of pure gold. Sometimes dross is added to gold to make ornament. This universe is that ornament. Some amount of garbage has been added to it. You want to be pure gold, fine, burn down your garbage. What's that garbage? Human element. Finished. Such a simple thing. There's nothing complicated about it. Burn down. And no one else can burn down for you. No guru can burn it down for you. No religion can burn it down for you. No scripture can burn it down. No God can burn it down for you. You have to burn it down for yourself. No one can. What the books can say is that these are the human elements. Your guru can say these are the human elements. And when you try to mold yourself, that great mold of your Easter, God, you realize what are the human elements. Just burn them down. So simple. And if you say that, well, all this sounds so simple in words, can it be practiced? Indeed, it can be practiced. Just try it. Just that we are too lazy. We are too attached to things of this world. And that's why. That's why we don't want to. Believe me, dear audience, believe me. We are so lazy that when we are stuck up in some kind of relationship, some kind of, as you say, stuck in bad marriage, I'm not questioning the institution of marriage. You don't even want to come out of it because you're too lazy. I remember that when the ancestral house of Swami Vivekananda was being renovated, more than 30, 40 families, something like that. They were staying there, sometimes two families in one single room. And through government, the Ramakrishna Mission got them huge compensation. Every family was given a two-bedroom, three-bedroom flat like that, and 15, 20 lakhs each. Even then, these people while living were cursing. And once gone, if you ask them to come back, they won't come back. But while living, they abused the monks, they cursed the monks, they went to media, this, that, thousand things. Why? They're so badly stuck in the rut, and they're so lazy that they won't move away, even to better opportunities. That's what we do. So we are so badly stuck because of our will. Our will. No one is forcing us in the mire of this world that we don't even want to move out. We can think only of our body, we can think only of our senses, nothing else. We don't even go to the level of mind. Just try telling your friends to listen to these talks, they will not. In earlier times, they had a wonderful word for such talks, opiate of the society. Now they say that, oh, well, it's not meant for us. And those who are more polite will say, I'm not even ready for us for it. Well, say, Paramahamsas like Sri Ramakrishna, they are the people who are the saviors of the world, not those in whose name people are getting killed, not those emotions for which warfares are going on in the world. No, no, no. We think of wealth to be something so important without realizing that it's wealth that makes the blood flow. And then comes books. Books suggest the inner light and the method of bringing that out, but we can only understand them when we have earned the knowledge ourselves. This is something that I keep on telling my valued listeners repeatedly. No book can give you knowledge. No book. Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Upanishads, Gita, no, nothing can give you knowledge unless you acquire that knowledge yourself and verify it through books. Remember it. When you read a sacred book, you get an information. And now you have to work it out yourself. And you have to realize that truth. Once you realize that truth, you go back to those scriptures to verify if it's all right. Books can give you nothing more than that. Those people who are talking too much about their sacred, like think of the old Brahmins who were talking about the greatness of the Vedas, saying that the mantras have so much of power that they can even bring the gods down. What are you talking about? You are being gross materialist, exactly what we had been discussing earlier. The goal has to be spiritual. The goal has to be to go beyond this empire of mind. And you say that your sacred book is to be used to bring the gods down to your level by the power of their mantras. And similarly, there are people who will kill others in the name that my sacred book is correct and my sacred book is. We have sects in India, in Hindus, I mean. They keep on abusing the great saints. Why? Because the saints do not belong to their line of thought. Thankfully, they don't go on killing. Otherwise, most of us would have been dead. However, the important thing is that no book can give you information. You keep on listening to these books. You will not understand anything till you have worked it out yourself. That's why I keep on asking my listeners when they listen to our Gita talk, to our Upanishads talks, to memorize those verses. If you memorize those verses, at least you are acquiring it in your memory. Otherwise, you can go on listening to this speaker and that speaker, and you will go on comparing this speaker from that speaker, etc., etc., and nothing will enter you. No, you will not understand. Believe me, you can go on listening for aeons, till aeons. No, you will not understand anything till you acquire. And that's why some people make quick spiritual progress. Why? Because they're not holding on to words. They realize that they have to understand it by themselves. If there is something, if there is something that you need to learn from this talk, that you need to explore the world of spirituality, find out the traces for yourself, go back to the sacred books, verify your knowledge from those books. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Your experience, your experiences must be in line with, has to be consonant with the scriptures. And your experiences have to be logical. They cannot be wild. You cannot afford to be wild. No, you cannot. When the inner light has flashed for you, let the books go and look only within. Once you realize that, well, it is this, now you don't require books. Why do you need books? You don't. Sri Ramakrishna never required books. Initially, he used to listen to those books just to make sure that whatever he has been experiencing, whether or not it is in the line of the sacred Hindu tradition. Once he realized, it was all gone. You have in you all, and 1,000 times more than in all the books. Remember, when Sri Ramakrishna used to say that the experiences of this place has transcended the Vedas and Vedantas. Why him? Me, you, everybody. We have thousands and thousands of times of knowledge, more than all the sacred books put together. Now, some of those people belonging to other religions will not believe this. But in other religions also, there have been debates on relationship between their God and their words. God is always more than his words. And the knowledge that is within me, this spiritual knowledge that I can explore, here I mean I, is far, far more, thousands and thousands of times more than all the spiritual books put together. And it is true for you too. Never lose faith in yourself. You can do anything in this universe. Never weaken. All power is yours. Well, let's stop here. It's a long talk. Thank you for listening. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Das.